I painted my Analogue 3D, and I'm going to teach you how to do that as well. So starting off, let's talk about what you will need to purchase to do this. First and foremost, you will want either a red Scotch-Brite pad or something around 600 to 800 grit sandpaper. I also recommend a plastic adhesion promoter. Obviously, you will need paint, depending on the color that you want, whether it's a solid color like a pink, a green, or a blue, or something like I'm using, which is candy paint. This will also require a silver metallic base color to be applied before the candy color itself. Then you're going to want some clear coat. I chose matte clear coat on this one. If you want, you can snag a gloss clear coat as well. I recommend using a 2K or 2-part clear coat. This will ensure it stands up over time and is more resistant to scratches. Now, really quick, do you need a primer? Not necessarily. While primer is a good base for adhesion, in this instance, I would say stay away from building up too many layers of paint. Using a red Scotch-Brite pad or somewhere around 600 or 800 grit sandpaper to scuff the surface should just be enough. Now, I'm using custom paints. They're located in Florida. They also have a location in the UK. They do sell all this stuff on their website. As for the plastic adhesion promoter, it's around $35. There are some cheaper options that you can probably get off Amazon or like at AutoZone. I don't know if they'll work with the urethane paint as well, because I'm pretty sure that those that you would get at like an auto parts store are probably like either enamel or an acrylic. As for the clear coat, it'll be around $22 to $35 depending on what you choose. They have their own brand of gloss clear coat that's $22. I snagged a can of the Spray Max 2K matte clear, which was around $35. As for paint, it can range anywhere from $12 to $60, just depending on what you purchase. Their 5-ounce aerosol cans should be more than enough to complete one shell. Okay, and really quick before we start painting this, I just want to go over on how to disassemble the Analogue 3D. Now, I didn't really take any pictures while doing this. Unfortunately, I was more concerned with not ripping any ribbon cables. So let's go ahead and just run over this really quick. First, you have to peel off the rubber mat on the bottom of the shell. Basically, I just took a small plastic scraper and I got one of the edges of the rubber mat up. And then from there, I slowly pulled the rubber mat up. It's got a lot of double-sided tape on there, so just be very careful with it. This will reveal 8 or 9 T15 Torx screws. Once you remove those, you will need to push and slide the metal cover off. It does not just pop up. You basically push it towards the back of the console and then lift it up. The metal cover hides a ribbon cable that attaches the top shell and the controller ports to the main board. Disconnect that, and then there is one more ribbon cable that weaves through the bottom board, attaching the game cartridge card slot connector to the motherboard. Once that ribbon cable is disconnected, remove the 8 or so T10 Torx screws that hold the board to the bottom shell. Now, I forgot to film me using the red Scotch-Brite pad on this, but essentially all you're going to do is just run the red Scotch-Brite pad over until you see a bunch of very small, fine scratches. Then go ahead and wipe it off with some rubbing alcohol. I use 91% isopropyl alcohol. Make sure that everything is clean. Let it dry off for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then come in with a tack rag or something, or just blow it off with some compressed air, and then apply your plastic adhesion promoter. As for the plastic adhesion promoter, for this one specifically, it tells you to do one very light coat at first, wait 5 minutes, and then come in and apply a second coat. After 5 minutes, you can then go ahead and apply a much heavier coat. This will want to flash off for about 15 minutes before moving on to applying your color. Now, because I'm using a candy, this requires a silver metallic base coat. I'm using a silver medium metallic. They also have a coarse metallic if you want to be a little bit more sparkly. I actually already had this can in my closet, so I just chose the silver medium as the base. Apply a light coat at first, let that flash off for about 10 to 15 minutes. It really depends on either the temperature and the humidity. So if it's really hot out, it might flash off a little bit quicker, but also take into consideration humidity, because humidity will make that process take longer because the humidity is moisture and you don't want to trap moisture in between layers. About 15 to 20 minutes in between each coat. Apply this silver until you get full coverage. Full coverage essentially just means that you're covering the entire console. You want to make sure that you don't see either any like primer, or for this instance, the console was black. So I just want to make sure that I don't see any more black show through underneath the silver metallic. Give that a good 15 or 20 minutes to flash off before you move on to your next step, which is applying your color. So I am using candy orange for this one. I actually had a little bit of candy orange left, so I just decided to use this up, and basically I got about 4 good coats of the candy orange out of this. This candy itself is actually translucent, so you will see the silver metallic underneath it once it's cured and clear coated. That's what gives candy its depth. Apply very light coats at first. Candy is very tricky because if you don't apply it correctly, you can get light spots and dark spots, so you have to be very even when applying the candy. Once you are happy with the color, I would give that about a half hour to 45 minutes to flash off. This essentially just means that any of the solvents don't get trapped underneath the clear coat, causing solvent pop or issues down the road. For the 2K clear coats, you have to activate them because there's a bladder inside that holds an activator, which essentially makes the 2K clear coats very hard and durable. So go ahead and pop those. For this one, there's a little button on the bottom. You basically just have to push that in. For the gloss clear coat that Custom Paint sells, there's a little pull down tab, and you basically pull that all the way down, and then it will cut to the bladder inside. Do light sweeping passes, nothing too crazy. You don't want to go too heavy because you'll make it run. If you're using a gloss clear coat, that's a little bit easier to deal with. With a matte clear coat, you really want to make sure that you're getting nice even coats, because after you apply the matte clear coat, there really is no cutting and buffing this. Apply your clear. I did about 3 coats on both the top and bottom shell. I didn't show me painting the bottom shell just because I had that set up on a different table. But give it a couple of days before you put this back together, and it should look something like this. If you guys like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you didn't like this video, also give it a thumbs up. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons. I'm Jordan, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.